So word is that CIG rebuffed the Corsair. But is this true? Yes. Now, in case you're brand new to the game, or you've been living under a rock, or you haven't played Star Citizen in 2 or 3 years, very briefly, the Corsair got nerfed. But because CIG has had to make changes to pilot-controlled guns and the way turrets slave to the pilot guns now, it would have made no sense whatsoever to have left the Corsair in the state that it was in. So they rebuffed the Corsair. It's not quite the same as it was. It used to have 4 size 5s on the nose. They changed that to size 4s. It used to have 2 size 4s on the wing, and they changed that to size 5s. So they basically flipped the switch on it. But let's get straight to the fucking point, right? What does this mean for DPS? Base DPS on the Corsair is now 4292, sustained. Upgraded DPS on the Corsair, sustained damage, is now 5814. And that's going with energy weapons because energy weapons are where it's at, for now. How does this compare to where the Taurus was? Well, we need to talk about that for a second, because in my last video where I talked about the Taurus, I listed the DPS for the Taurus, upgraded, sustained, and since then, Urkel has actually updated their DPS models. So the number is going to be different than what it was in the very last video. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Star Citizen does not give any in-game system for players to keep track of what stats come from what components, so you're left to guess. Thanks to the community and third-party sites and data miners, we can know what these things are, but sometimes these things don't update live with the game, so we gotta go with what we go with. I'm sorry, with the last video, it turns out the DPS listing was wrong. I mean, sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I make a mistake. Am I a machine? No. I've been called one before, but I'm only human. So, upgraded DPS with the Constellation Taurus is 4788. Compare that to the Corsair, and there's a new king of DPS. But do all these stats actually mean something? Are these numbers for real? Does it actually make a difference? Yeah, absolutely. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, Dr. C, how do I get into one of these amazing ships? Well, the first thing you want to do is go to New Deal in Lorville and shell out 6.5 million space bucks. Now, you could fly it as is, but why would you want to do that? You're going to want to upgrade it. What does it take to upgrade this bad boy? Well, assuming you're upgrading to attritions and assuming you're also upgrading the turrets, total cost of weapon upgrades, 1.2 mil. Full upgrade, all components across the board, including weapons, 1.7 mil. Total cost of buying the Corsair and doing all of the upgrades across the board, right here, 8,231 bars of gold-plated platinum. But then you're asking, and if I do all that, will I be cool then? Yes, you will finally be cool. Buy one of these ships. With all the wipes and resets this game has seen, this is like the 5th or 6th time I've had to buy the Corsair. Which I only did for the review. I didn't want to buy this ship. I didn't need this awesome thing to go do awesome stuff with. I did it for you. Nobody enjoys doing this. Now, the touchback on a carryover from the nerf, if you recall, the way they nerfed this ship previously was to take away control of the 2 lower guns from the pilot and put them in control of the co-pilot. Well, if there's no co-pilot, these guns are, in fact, all 4 of them slaved to the pilot. But if you have a co-pilot in that seat and they have powered on their terminal, these guns will be in the control of the co-pilot, who can swivel them on the gimbals independent of the pilot's reticle position. So if you're flying with a team, the co-pilot can be your co-gunner as well. Or the co-pilot can just take control of the top remote turret, and the front guns go back to control of the pilot, I assume. Now, for the sake of demonstrating the ship's capabilities, we could blast these little baby NPC ships all day long, or we could take this thing to some place where it's actually going to make a difference, and do some of the piracy this ship was designed for, right? So we're going to Yella. Now, before you get all sanctimonious on me in the comments talking about griefing, I want to point something out here. Ain't no player around Yella going in and out of Grimhex who doesn't know their neck is on the line by being in that place. Let's be realistic here. In the Stanton system, Yella, and by extension Daymar, are the centers of piracy. Everybody there knows what the deal is. When I arrive at Yella, I begin my patrol by hitting the orbital markers, especially the ones around the poles. If you don't know, hitting the orbital markers at the poles makes it easier to navigate around the planet and get to your destination, which means that everyone's going there. I do the same thing. But today, going to the poles is going to be a little more dangerous because today I'm there. It didn't take very long to find a few ships and start causing a few problems. Disclaimer: Dr. Coldfinger is a great pilot, but just okay at dogfighting. Any fights seen in this video are done for demonstration purposes only and should not be taken as any kind of dogfighting tutorial. After popping a few ships and finding basically nothing, I did actually find a Corsair at one of the poles, took him out, and managed to grab a size 5 attrition off of him, so there's a score. Not long after that, I found a Connie that was damaged, so I finished him off too and got the attritions off of his ship. So even at a discount, these guns sell for quite a bit, so this is a pretty good score for just a few minutes buzzing around yellow. Problem is now I got a crime stat, so I'm gonna have to go into Hex to park this bad boy, right? And of course there's ships around here, but I'm not worried because in this Corsair, I'm not gonna say I felt invincible, but I felt totally confident. I can go where I want and do what I want with these guns in front of me. I felt great about it. But then something happened. Earlier in my session, I actually came across a Cutlass who got away from me, and he found me outside of Hex and he came for my ass. And during this, I was having trouble because there are other ships in the area and I couldn't tell what direction the fire was coming from, and that was it. He disabled my Corsair. Now, I was waiting in the back of the ship to see if he came inside to try and get my cargo, and it turns out he didn't. He just showed up in the cuddy. Now, life lesson for everybody. If you're fighting someone who's holding a really big stick, the way you neutralize that is just getting up close and then they can't swing it anymore. So I flew up to his ship. What's he gonna do, shoot me? He can't. But I can shoot his doors open, and God help this guy if I get inside that ship. To his credit, he did not let me inside of his ship, and he backed away, and he just left me out there in space with my broken Corsair that he also finished destroying. So all I can do now is log out. Maybe it'll put me in Hex. I log back in, and no such luck. It actually put me back at Area 18 with a crime stat. So what's the final conclusion on the rebuff of the Corsair? It is not the mayhem maker that it used to be, but it still fucks butts. This is currently the best solo DPS dealer. If you want to get out there and have a great time, you don't always have a crew, the Corsair is the ship for you. And you know it's true because I made up a rhyme or two. So even though I really wasn't intending on buying the Corsair again, I gotta admit, it put the hook in me. Be sure to tell me how stupid I am in the comments. If you like this video, give it a like, it helps me out. If you didn't like this video, give it a like anyway. Just because it takes 7 minutes to watch doesn't mean it only takes 7 minutes to make. As for me, I know how the rest of my week is gonna go. And remember, I'm not a real doctor.
Your insurance claim has been sent.